the purpose of this show today, I'm really, really pumped and excited to be live with you today. We're going to talk all about braces. Big question. Many of us ask ourselves, does my dog need a brace? It's a legitimate question. And truth be told, a little less than 2 years ago, I was faced with that same question that many of you guys get faced with. Sacha, my dog, as you guys already know, had a CCL tear. And I knew I was going to do everything I can to help her. Well, my canine PT, Ria Asiani, says, yeah, we're going to do the rehab. In my case, I didn't choose to do surgery because we could afford to go a different route. But one key thing that was an absolute integral element was getting a brace. So my canine PT basically told me, if you want to get the right brace and really the best brace, you got to get a Hero brace. So today I'm super pumped because I've got the founder of Hero Brace that's in the green room right now, ready to join us to tell us all about this big question, does my dog need a brace? And I got to tell you, he is an amazing man. His journey, just his story and how he got to help us with our dogs in getting braces. It's just amazing. I mean, I'll tell you a little about him. So Ben, his story, which is amazing, when he was in high school, he actually had cancer of his leg. So he actually had an amputee happen to his own leg and learned all about what it is to get a prosthesis. Well, guess what? He went to college back in Texas, and he actually became a prosthetist himself, an orthotist, if I could say that. And it's for him working on humans at first, and then there was this subtle transition to helping the animals, helping the dogs. And the truth is, there's not a lot of people in this country, in the US here, that actually do what he does. So it's not a business, it's a passion for him. So anyways, I've said enough. I got to bring the man. I'm super excited that Ben took the time to be with us today. So let's work the magic here and bring my good friend Ben. And here we go. 2, 3, 1. There we go. Hey, Ben.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me. I'm blushing here from that intro.
Well, I got to tell you, we do a lot of shows, but this is a very personal show for me because you've personally helped me with that question. So if I think of our viewers, many of us are faced with that position is, does my dog need a brace? But I have to ask you, because I start, giving a little bit of an intro of your past, but how did you transition from your own personal experience, helping humans, and then going into the dog side? How did that take place?
Well, so it's a little bit of a combination. So I'm kind of an inventive person. I grew up on a farm, and we just kind of figure out how to make do and create different things. So on the farm, like, we had lots of different animals, pigs and dogs and chickens and cattle and everything, So I've always been around animals my whole life. And my uncle is actually a veterinarian. And so he kind of connected me with Dr. Taylor when I was working in Denver. And he was on the show Animal Planet called Emergency Vets. He said, you got to meet this guy. He's doing some cool stuff. And so I kind of started looking at it. And really, there wasn't a lot out there. And so it was just kind of like an open playground to me in a sense, because like nobody had written the textbook yet. And so I got to kind of figure out how that worked. And Dr. Taylor, was such a mentor, and it was cool. He would go in and we'd meet with a client and say, listen, nobody's done this before. We don't know if it's going to work. We think this is what's going to happen. If we do this, do you want to try it? And they would be open with it. And so that gave, and like, we weren't going to put the animal in jeopardy, in harm's way. But we needed that, to learn, I guess, early on. And so, after a little while, I was asked to speak at an international veterinary meeting, kind of the place where I met Ria and some of the other thought leaders in animal physical therapy. And, people started asking me, hey, would you work with me? And so it kind of morphed into something more global. And here we are today, almost 16 years later. So,
wow.
Yeah.
What a great journey, and we're so glad that you are doing it, because there's not a lot of people that have this gift of really creating a custom-made brace for the dogs, and we're going to talk about that, folks. If you just joined us, we're live with Ben. Ben is the founder of Hero Brace, and also he operates the wiggleless.com website that tells you all about braces for back, in that case, with the other website. And if you just joined us, we are doing our usual, where you can actually win a 1TDC bottle. Just go into the comments and just put hashtag #PawLove, and you're going to want the show notes, because there's a lot of golden nuggets here that we're going to get from Ben about how to figure out what you need to do for brace for your dogs, if that's the case that you need one. So simply put in the notes dog lover, one word, and you'll get access to all of the show notes. All right, great. Let's get into this, Ben. So I'm going to ask you kind of the obvious question that a lot of us ask ourselves when we're thinking, well, does my dog need a brace? How do I know?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're thinking that, you need to investigate it, right? I mean, that's the simplest thing. And there's so many pathologies and things that can be going on, so you need to bring in an expert and to help you with that journey. But does your dog need a brace? If there's something structurally wrong, there's a good likelihood that a brace can help in some way.
Yeah, so as simple as that. If I'm thinking about it, there's got to be something that's causing that thought. So right. Investigate it. Okay, that's simple, but you know what? That's very valuable. By the way, if you just join us, if you have any questions for our guest, Ben, the expert when it comes to braces for your dogs, just drop a note and we'll look at them. We'll try to answer live for you. So if you have any burning questions about your own personal dog, or even a brace that you've received, anything that you're wondering about, now's the time to ask. All right, let's go into a little bit more details about understanding the needs of braces. So you've been doing this a while now. What are the conditions that can benefit from a brace? Can you kind of break that down? The common ones.
Yeah. So if we rewind back, so like before I spoke at that meeting, there was about 3 years that I tried to make some different styles of braces and prostheses, and like I probably had like 40 or 50 different things and conditions that I found some way to help with some level of success. But as I started working on a larger scale, I had to prune it down, because like you can't be an expert at everything, right? And so really what we found, the big one is cruciate tears, ACL tears, okay? So that's at the stifle, which is a dog's knee, wrist braces, ankle braces, and then with Wiggleless, we're doing back bracing. So with that is IBDD, or disc disease. So really cruciate and disc disease are like, I would guess like 90-95% of what we do.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's, we've had prior guests that are orthopedics surgeons and also canine sports and PTs, and it's true. I mean, knees on dogs just will go out, especially if they're athletic. There's so much you can do to prevent, but the truth, many times it will go out. So that this need, to your point, in considering a brace is definitely important. I need to ask you to kind of go into a little bit more details. As my dog is barking, not with her brace on right now because she's not going out yet. So how do you evaluate the right brace for your dog? I mean, what are the criteria that I need to have?
Right, and so I mean, the wonderful thing that's been happening over the last 25 years is physical therapy is coming into the dog world, right? And part of it's pushed by agility, part of it's just, I mean, we think about what we do for ourselves. If we have surgery, we go see a physical therapist, and we want to help our animals in the same way. So trying to bring in the experts, some people are in more rural areas and maybe they don't have a physical therapist or a canine chiropractor or whatnot in their area. So what we actually do is we help your veterinarian, and so we can actually do video conferencing like this, and so what we generally ask is that you send videos and pictures, kind of some background history of what's going on with your dog. And then I'll actually shoot a video and record it and share it with you and your vet to kind of give our insight on what we've learned over the years. So.
Excellent. So definitely the element of working with your health professional is critical. I mean, it's, based on what you're sharing with us, is I can evaluate, but the proper evaluation still needs canine PT or an orthopedic surgeon or somebody that can have a full evaluation.
Right. I mean, I can give you insight from, all the way around the world, but putting your hands and so if we're checking for an ACL tear, we're trying to shift the bones, right? I can't do that over a video. Just taking a picture of or a video walking, I can't see that. So you need somebody to say, oh yeah, that's what's wrong. You need to know what the core thing that's wrong instead of just guessing that, oh, my dog's lame. If I just put a brace on and hope that it works, that it's kind of self-defeating. You're kind of just take your money and light it on fire. It's like, let's do it properly.
Yeah, no, let's not do that. And ultimately, you want to do whatever's best for your dog and your dog's recovery. If you just join us, we are live with Ben. He is the founder of Hero Brace, has a tremendous of experience and one of the leaders in creating braces, custom-made braces for your dogs. And if you just join, make sure that you also put Dog Lover in the notes. That'll get you all the show notes and all the tips and insights from Ben. And we're also doing some giveaway of the 1 TDC. So just make sure you hashtag Paw Love in the comments as well. All right. So once you've been able to select the right brace with a professional, or if you've done any form of video conferencing with you as well, which is fantastic that you make that available many times. I know you work a lot with veterinarians and the canine PTs and the consumers and helping them. Once you've done all that, I think probably often what happens as a pet owner is like we're wondering, this is really what the next question is about, is what can I do more to actually optimize the purchase, the investment of that brace? What are some of the other elements that you've seen over the years makes it very, very valuable?
Yeah. So with anything, if you think about the core of what we're trying to do is we remember our dog when they're a little puppy and they're naive and they just want to run and play, right? And then we want to get them back. So we're trying to give them some sort of activity level back, right? And if you think about it, the activity, that's what keeps our dog healthy, and as we age, I mean, we talked about this earlier, I'm aging, my metabolism it's not the same, right? So we need to keep them active. So keeping with your physical therapist or some activity regimen it's just the same as with us. It keeps us healthy for longer. So activity, nutrition, there's all sorts of different things that go with nutrition, right? It's not necessarily just weight, but our body condition, right? Can we see ribs? There's condition scoring. So nutrition plays a lot into that, but it also plays into what's going on in the inside of, the ACL is a ligament. If we don't have the proper nutrition, that ligament gets soft, it tears easier, right? And so following with that nutrition is gonna, and I'm by no means am I the expert on that part, but these are just things that we all know, and let's continue to circle back to, and then of course supplements. The 1 TDCs trying to help fill in that part, but there's lots of different supplements that can help with the skeletal strength, the ligamentous muscle strength, and recovery. I mean, if we're an athlete, right, we go and we work out, our muscles ache. We have to have recovery. They're the same way. So I think all those things feed into the brace. I mean, there has to be some training, and we can't just put a brace on and say, oh, they're going to be fine now. It's supported. The dog doesn't know that they can put weight on their leg now. So we have to do some to help them and trick them into bearing weight. A lot of times, or most really, what happens as soon as they realize, oh, I can use that leg now, they'll start using it more on their own. But until then, they're going to hold their leg up, however lame they were before. So we have to give them some guidance in what's going on with that. So.
Excellent. Now that's good insights. I mean, the nutrition, the activity, the recovery.
Oh, did I lose you?
That line that you have, it's like the brace provides a support on the outside, which is what we're looking for in a brace. And then the 1TDC in this case is providing the support on the inside. So they work in conjunction. This was a great illustration to know, do I do both? Do I do one? You do as much support as you possibly can to help your dog. You know, it is very unique what you're doing with the Hero brace. And I have mine right here, actually. I use it very proudly. It's not me, but my dog. It's a wonderful brace. But what's really amazing is it's like this is actually Sacha's custom-made leg. So I know the process because I've gone through it, and it was highly recommended, like I mentioned, by my canine PT. But could you explain a little bit about the journey of making, and that's my next question for you. What's the process of making a Hero brace? Because if I can say, it's very difficult as a pet owner to know what's the right brace. And truth be told, man, before I got the Hero brace, I actually had some other stuff that I tried out and it just didn't fit. So I was so impressed by your process and why this is exactly the fit for Sacha. Can you walk us through the journey?
Sure. So I guess the easiest way for me to explain. So if you or I were to tear our ACL, there's 14 different sizes for human adults, okay? There's 200 to 300 different breeds of dogs. Do some math, you'd have to have several hundred different sizes, right?
Right.
So it's not like T-shirts where we have small, medium, large, XL, right? And so that's what I found early on is there was one brace out there, but it had like 5 sizes, and it just didn't like, it didn't compute. Like, how can we stop this little motion with this big range? And so that's where custom comes in. And so what we actually have to do is we have to take a cast of the leg. So with this, we know exactly what the shape of the leg is, right? I can see the hock, the ankle bone here, and we can up here at the front, we can see this is the tibial crest. So that's part of this bottom bone here. And so, oh, that's upside down. But so with that cast, what we do is we fill that full of plaster and we actually make a model of your dog's leg. And then we can fabricate the brace. So we actually take great big sheets of plastic and we heat that up in an oven and we drape it over, and the vacuum sucks it down to that shape. So then it takes the shape of your dog. There still can be some fitting issues, but it's very minimized because we are going after that shape, and it also gives you enough support that your dog actually has support. Like I said, you can't just hold on and hope that you actually have to have a plan. So hope's not a plan.
I mean, thanks for covering the process. If you just joined us, we're live with Ben right now. He's the founder of Hero Brace, and we're talking all about braces and how to pick the right brace. There's a lot of information. If you've just joined and you missed some of the earlier parts, we'll get you the show notes. Make sure you drop the word dog lover as one word, and that'll give you access to that. Also, make sure you hashtag paw love so you can get into our weekly 1TDC drawing. But I think it's quite remarkable what you just described, because it's not, it is your dog's leg that you make an imprint of. And I've seen some of the videos, because I actually wasn't there when you made it, but it's quite amazing. I mean, there really is this is really handmade. I mean, it's quite remarkable how you guys finalize it and so forth. I know when I received it, I mean, it fit perfectly. And what's neat is, I mean, mine is about almost 2 years old. I mean, it's like I got some hair on it, but it's like it's good to go. I feel like this thing is gonna last forever. So it's really a really well made brace. And if you join and you have a brace or you have questions about braces, just jump in and ask Ben a question. We'll do our best to answer it for you. Um, and Ben, that kind of leads me to another question for you is like, how long should I use a brace for my dog? So like in the case, you can think of Sacha, she had a CCL tear almost 2 years ago. I've got your brace. What's the journey of the usage of a brace that you've seen that experts and yourself recommend to help us in that evaluation of getting the right brace?
Yeah, and so this, again, I want to set this up front. This is very dependent on the diagnosis and what is torn or broken, okay? So let's just talk about the ACL, the CCL in this case. So first, it's important to recognize that, well, an ACL is the ligament that goes between the knee bones, and it keeps the bottom bone from shifting forward, okay? In a dog, when that tears, it's so small we can't repair it, and right. Ligaments don't have blood circulation through it like your skin, so it won't heal back. So once that's torn, it's torn forever. Okay. So if we think back, well, so what we've done to veterinarians have done is they'll do surgeries. And so one surgery is they'll actually change the angle of the bottom bone so it won't shift when they're standing on it. Or they use, it's kind of like a medical grade fishing line, and they'll wrap it around and they'll keep it so it's tight.
That's right.
Okay. And so there's, those are the basic surgeries, but there's like 20 versions of each of them. Right. And so that's when we do surgery, that's what we're trying to do. But if we think back about, 200 years ago, before we ever did surgery on dogs, like they still tore their ACL. So how did their body compensate? Right. So what happens is on the inside of this joint, some scar tissue forms so that they can still bend, but then that keeps them from shifting. Now that will never be as strong as when they were 2 years old or anything like that, but a dog that's 13 or 14, that gives them enough stability to stay active and go and do what a geriatric dog might do. And so that scar tissue starts forming right away. And what we're trying to do with the brace is we have plastic on the front here that we're trying to keep that from shifting forward. And so we have to have some plastic back here to pull it back, but we want to keep that from shifting until that scar tissue forms. And generally that scar tissue, it can take 6 months to a year to form. And so what we generally see is that the people wear the brace for about 9 months to a year, pretty much whenever their dog is up and about. When they're lying down, it doesn't matter because that bone doesn't shift while they're lying down. It's only when gravity is pushing down. So they wear it pretty much full time for about, that 9 months to a year. And then after that, they'll only use the brace maybe high activity times if you're going to go on a long hike or to the dog park, something like that. I think that's kind of how it's worked out for you. I mean, you can kind of give more insight. Yeah. There's no set hardened way in that, but that's generally what the people in the rehab people have been finding so far. So.
Yeah, and that's pretty much with Sacha with her CCL tear, and then using your brace. What I did in the beginning, per the advice of the experts, was like you said, if the dog is resting, doesn't need it. But if you're putting any form of gravity, I love the way you said that, I would always put it on, and gradually build back up her stamina to do more activity and walking longer. Now for Sacha, the love, she's over there right next with her Frisbee as we talk. That's her love. So I didn't get to play with the Frisbee for a bunch of months. But even when I started playing back, there's just not even a doubt in my mind that the brace would be on. And truth be told, it's almost 2 years. If I'm going to go hard, the brace is going to be on. And could I not put the brace? Maybe. But the truth is, I just have this added security that she's not going to overextend, and it protects her knee. So what's kind of funny for her is whenever I start bringing the brace around, she associates that with the fun activity. So it has that positive reinforcement. If you just join us, we are live with Ben. He is the founder of Hero Brace. He also has a wonderful website too, wiggleless.com. We'll put all that in the notes. That provides a lot of back braces as well. So he's got the aspect of the knees and the cruciate and so forth, but he also has the other side of that from a support standpoint for the back. So we covered a lot of information so far. If you just join, 2 things you want to do. The first thing you want to do is you want to drop the word dog lover in the notes so that you can get access to all the show notes. Plus, Ben has been really gracious. He's also got a coupon, a $50 coupon on Hero Brace, Go Hero Brace website that you'll be able to get access to. So we'll put that in the notes for you guys. If you're thinking you need a brace and you need the best, the Hero Brace, you're going to want to go there and work, of course, with your canine PT or probably veterinarian. So Ben, I have to ask you, so you've been doing this for how many years now? You start like making this specific, the Hero Brace?
Yeah. So the ACL brace was the first one that we started working with, and 16 years ago now. So it's been fun.
And that's a long time, because it's a field, like we talked about earlier, that there's not a lot that's actually being done from progressing it so much. I mean, there's more of your experience that we're benefiting from. If you had to tell us, like in the journey of 16 years, and if you look at the braces then and now, what are some key learnings that you've had, and where do you think the next steps are? And because I know you're a creator, you're constantly thinking to improve. So what has improved, and what are you searching for into the next steps?
So, I mean, I'm a user too. So I'm an amputee. And so what I know with mine is, one, I want it simple. Like, get up in the middle of the night, I want to put it on simply, right? I want it lightweight. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, it's really important that we have a plan. Like I said, hope is not a plan. Like, you need to understand what the underlying mechanics are and making sure it's work. I don't like this concept of holding on tight and hoping. Well, just with anything, I'm an active person, so I want it durable. So I think those are my guiding principles. And so with everything, early on we had Velcros that maybe didn't work as well, and honestly, there's still, like, I want it to be great for 10 years. And Velcro's like a t-shirt. If you wore a t-shirt for every day for 10 years, it's not gonna last. So, but those are the things. And so I'm really proud about those iterations and where we've gotten to, because I think that's why, I mean, it's light, it
really is.
It's pretty simple to put on. We have a life of the dog guarantee for the plastic and the joints. Nobody else does that. Mm-hmm. So I think we're hitting on a lot of the spots. And if you saw what I had 15 years ago, you'd be scratching your head like, you tried that. But I hope I can say that same thing about this brace in 15 years, and I just, that process is fun to me, of continually getting better. So.
Well, you've definitely made an impact. I know the folks that are using the braces are very happy. It is recommended by veterinarians, it's recommended by experts. And I really like the fact that you have the complete support, frankly, from a brace standpoint with the body. I mean, you've got your top of the line for the leg, knees, and cruciate and so forth with Hero Brace. And then you got all the back braces too that people, often with all the different conditions that you mentioned earlier in the show that they need for their dog. So with wiggleless.com. So we're very thankful that you were able to cover that with us. We're going to go into our next steps and do a recap and get you top 5. So hang tight, folks. If you just join us, this is like the fun part. We're going to get all of the quick recap from Ben. So I'm going to hide you for a second and bring you back. There we go. All right, here we go. So you've experienced this question that many pet owners have is, does my dog need a brace? I know that question. I've had it 2 years ago with my dog with the CCL tear. Well, what had happened is my canine PT expert turned me on to doing the right brace, and that was the Hero Brace. And right now we're about to get the recap from the founder of Hero Brace to teach us everything, the top 5 that what we need to know all about braces. So let me bring him on right now. Here we go. Here's Ben.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us, Ben. And let's get right into this. So we're thinking about a brace. We need your insights. What are the top 5 things that I need to know? Tip number 1 about thinking about a brace.
So tip number 1, if you think your dog needs a brace, you need to investigate it. Trust your instincts.
Great tip. Tip number 2.
So if your dog's skeleton is compromised, you need to find some way to support it so they can have long-term health.
Great tip. Tip number 3.
Tip number 3, get an expert to help you determine the right brace for your dog's condition. They know what's going on underneath.
Get the right support in doing it with the experts. Awesome. Tip number 4.
So the brace supports the outside. One TDC supports the inside.
Great.
Think about the whole body.
Excellent. Ultimate support. Love it. All right. Give us the last tip all about braces.
So choose a brace that's going to last for the life of your dog. Whether you're going to need it or not, last a life.
Well, I've got the brace that's going to last me for the life of my dog, and that's your brace, the Hero Brace. So, Ben, I want to thank you for the insights that you give us. This is something that people will get a chance to watch over and over. And if you've got questions, we monitor this live show on a regular basis. Don't hesitate to drop a note, and then we'll make sure that Ben answers that for you as I would call you are the expert in this country. It's a very personal thing. It's a passion. I mean, you are in your shop. I've seen videos of you. You were recently on PBS and really doing a great story about this is just your passion. And your passion from your personal experience has completely translated to what we benefit for our dogs. So I want to sincerely thank you for my dog's brace and your dedication to providing the support that keeps those dogs, playing frankly sooner. And that's a line that you guys talk about. And that was the case for my dog. Took a lot of patience, but the truth is she's playing hard, and that's because of your brace. So I really want to thank you for that.
Well, I'm blushing, and thank you. It's nice that it's working out this way.
Well, we appreciate all your time, and we'll definitely have you on again, Ben. Thank you.
Thanks, Olivia.